Awesome. Anything else you guys would leave behind in 2023? I know we already went around.
Balding. I would leave balding behind. It's not fun.
I'm not sure that has anything to do with cybersecurity.
I'm sorry.
But I appreciate your input. Yeah. I don't have that.
I second that.
Yeah, it's not fair.
I think that's a good one, John.
Yeah. Thank you.
I'll donate to you guys.
Please, I would wear that hair.
You would look so good with my hair.
Let's make it happen.
Okay, let's do this. Hi, everyone. We are EITR Technologies. We are a startup that focuses on cloud and cybersecurity automation. We were recently asked what our predictions were for 2023 trends. We figured we'd make that into a podcast. So my name is... Did that just happen?
I love it.
My name is Stephanie Pfeiffer, and I'm the CTO who uses her hands to talk a lot. And this is John Gordon.
Hello, I'm John Gordon. I'm the COO.
And I'm Nick Hughes, and I'm just a guy.
Just a guy.
Just wandering past. They invited me to sit down.
Just a CEO guy wandering past. We figured we'd snag him.
He had a nice hat.
Yeah, thank you.
He's got a Salt Project shirt on, so obviously
pretty
that
smart.
wins. Yeah. So let's just jump right into it. 2023 trends and predictions in the cybersecurity realm. What do you guys think? Like, what are we trending towards in 2023?
I guess I'll go first.
That sounds great.
So one thing that has definitely changed that I've seen is remote work. Like a lot more companies are offering the capability to work from home.
Yeah.
And that's going to potentially create a lot of challenges because when you go into an office, you have their corporate infrastructure that you rely heavily on, and they have a layer of security there versus when you go to someone's house, what are you going to run into? You never really know.
That's true. I heard some state and federal governments are also moving towards remote work, which must include additional complexities.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that we're probably going to see like a right sizing of remote work this year, right? When the pandemic hit, everybody sort of rushed towards it. Maybe not in the most secure way.
Yeah.
And there was this balloon of remote work. Towards the end of last year, we saw some companies trying to pull people back in, and this sort of drawing in. But you have the employees themselves are pushing against that, right? Like, why do I need to be in a physical location in order to do my job? So I think that we're going to go back out a little bit. I don't think that we're going to be at pandemic levels with remote work, just because, there were a lot of folks where maybe their job function wasn't well suited for remote work. Or there were a lot of people that wanted to be in an office and couldn't during that time. I know that, it's often difficult to try and work at home with young children.
Yes, indeed.
Amen.
I'd rather be in an office at that point. But I think that this year we might start to see like, okay, this is how it's actually going to shake out, and then grow from there after this year.
Cool.
That's a good point.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
You're so smart.
Aw, John.
I'm also very attractive.
And modest. I love it.
Modest,
too,
humble.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, before we go down that rabbit hole of how attractive you are, why don't
we should stay there.
Why don't we ask Nick what his predictions are?
I predict that John's going to get even more attractive.
I knew it.
I think that's a good one.
Yeah.
Additionally, I think that we're going to see folks continue to go into public cloud. They're going to go out into, your AWS, your Azure, GCP, and other smaller players, and see if they can get their workloads running there in a more efficient and cost-effective manner. However, I think that you're also in 2023 going to see some folks retracting from the cloud as well.
It's an interesting take.
There's some.
It is
some
Agreed.
workloads that just don't run well, maybe aren't well suited, aren't cost effective in the cloud, and I don't think that traditional data centers are going to go away, and so I think that the capital expenditure of running out and purchasing hardware, and the folks that maintain those, we're probably going to see some organizations start to ramp up a little bit more on that side as well.
Yeah, I think that's really, I mean, you talked about rushing towards remote work. I think there was a rush towards moving to the cloud. And I even feel like in the name of cybersecurity, we have to talk about the rush to AI. We've got ChatGPT trying to debug code for people. We've got AI ops, we've got ML ops. And how do you secure those things? How do you make sure that what you're getting from them, is secure in the long run? So I guess that's my 2023 trend, is a little bit towards the AI and machine learning, but then also looking to how do we secure that?
Yeah, absolutely. ML ops is sort of an integration of DevOps or DevSecOps methodologies into machine learning models and the deployment of those, development of those. And so you can take advantage of all of those DevSecOps platforms and processes that other more established types of activities have been using for a little while now. And so that should be helpful in the security there. But then you also have the user side of it, right? You have users that are using more AI in their daily lives.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I actually used it today.
You did?
I said, what clothes should I wear?
That's a tough one.
I don't know. It's so many buttons, right? But hey,
I think it made a good choice for you. It's a
all
good
right.
shirt. You're already very attractive, as we've established. So
yeah, but it said no socks, and I was like,
No.
that's weird. I need socks.
that's a big no.
Yeah, it's cold.
AI is not always right.
Yeah, exactly. That's my point.
You do have to be careful of what you get back from AI sometimes, right? Like the user side of it, ChatGPT, the things that it's feeding back to you aren't gospel.
Yeah.
So you need to be, aware enough to modify the things that it gives you in a way that is useful to you and also secure as well.
Yeah, definitely will save time, but
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's great what we can do for like monitoring of our systems and remediation too, but we want to make sure that it's making the right decisions.
Absolutely.
I like our trends.
there you go.
Good job, guys.
There you go.
So what should we leave behind in 2023? Like, what's so 2022? For me, I mean, honestly, I'm going to go first. I'm going to be selfish.
All right, you asked yourself a question.
I asked myself a question.
What should we do?
So
All right,
what
here we
should
go.
we do here? And it's going to be controversial, but I'm going to just say it. Images and containers, I love them, but I also hate them. From a developer perspective, I love them. Work, already done for me. Security perspective, who knows what's in these images, right? You have to pick them selectively. The developer in me, I just go out, find the right image that works. I'm not looking at the CVEs. I'm not looking at anything. It just works, and I'm running with it. Probably because I'm an awful developer, and that's why I do DevOps.
No, that's not an awful developer, right? But that's, it's kind of par for the course right now, right? These developers have the entire internet at their disposal most times, and there's no censorship or accreditation board that's vetting the things that are going into these different repositories, like GitHub, GitLab, or your Docker repositories, GCRIO and things like that. Anybody can throw anything up there, and you don't know what's inside of it. So I think that the security bill of materials that's gotten a big push through the end of last year and will continue to get a big push going forward is going to be vital. So maybe the leave behind is bad container practices.
I'm thinking
right?
like third-party images, bad practices. If it's adopted by like the company that puts it out there, like I use the GitLab runner images all the time, but I'll never use a third-party one because GitLab maintains these images. And once it gets adopted into there, I'll feel safe using it. But I'm putting my trust in GitLab to steer me right.
Yeah, there's like finding this right balance between the genericized images that are vetted by large trusted companies like GitLab. And on the other side of the coin, you have these purpose-built, very specific container images that you might be able to find out there. But maybe it was like Larry down the street that created it.
Come on, Larry.
And you don't know
He's
what
also
he put in there.
a spy,
right?
and he's put all this stuff in there. But I trust him. He's my neighbor.
Okay.
He brought me
It
cookies
works.
the other day.
It does work.
So third-party images, maybe we leave that behind. We'll keep moving forward with containers and images, but some of them got to go. So,
Good point.
what are you leaving behind in 2023, John?
Well, so what I leave behind definitely has a use and a place still. So it's not like a complete leave behind, but the username password.
Oh my gosh, the bane of my existence.
I have like
remembering passwords.
5,000 different username login combos. So
I believe it.
you have to use these Bitwarden or LastPass or whatever, who also have
Not
their
using LastPass.
well, exactly.
Not right now.
Maybe that should have been my leave behind is
Leave behind
LastPass.
LastPass.
Yeah, but I mean you can't remember all of your your combinations unless if you keep them somewhere, and you need to keep them in a safe place. And there are a lot of better technologies that are available, and you just don't need a username
And
password
I think
for
they integrate
everything.
so well into applications these days. People are accounting for the fact that I have a Gmail account, or I already have a
Yes.
authenticated, account
Yeah.
that I can go against. Which just, I don't know, it brings me to think about the fact that I also hate certificates. Like, how antiquated are certificates? It just
mean-
drives me crazy. I just want the certification that I'm allowed to talk to some other server to be automated, right?
That would be nice. I mean, because you have to
I dream big.
you have to re-up the cert. It's only good for so long. You have to trust the CAs. There's like a whole chain that, you get a new CA. You have to update that chain on the old server. Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, I think that certificates are one of those things that a large percentage of folks in IT just absolutely hate.
Glad I'm not alone here, like the containers.
Either because you don't fully understand it, sometimes it can be complex, or the administrative overhead of it is burdensome. I don't think that we're going to leave behind certificates for traditional TLS, right? For your big websites out there. I actually think that's a fairly good model where you have certificate authorities that are vetting the requesting organization as a trusted entity. Let's Encrypt kind of diluted the trust that the internet is built on, because essentially it's now a trusted certificate authority that anybody can issue from with great ease. They have an automated process in order to renew those certificates for a normal TLS session, and that's great that it's automated, and you don't have these outages where I think all the big players have had it before, right? But like major companies like a Microsoft or something like that have, in certain scenarios, forgotten to renew their certificates on their website, and it just sort of breaks everything. People aren't able to go to the places that they want to. But automation definitely fixes that part. But the other lesser known TLS, mutual TLS, MTLS, that I would love to leave behind in 2023. I think that's something that we can potentially get away from near term, just because there's no trust component to it. Generally you have these CAs that you've stood up internally, with very little trust. Often workloads can request certificates just by spinning up inside of a known Kubernetes cluster or through some other automated process, and so there's essentially no trust in the MTLS setups that I've seen most, despite the fact that that's what everybody is basing them on. Like, I have this certificate authority. All of my certificates are trusted. I'm checking it, any server identities coming in. But when you really look at it, it's a very fragile setup.
Yeah, I think, between the containers and the certificates, what we leave behind is, taking that easy road too much. You got to make sure you're validating that the easy road's also secure.
Yep.
If it's not, take the second easy road. It's there, I promise. Awesome. Anything else you guys would leave behind in 2023? I know we already went around.
Balding. I would leave balding behind.
Yeah.
It's not fun.
I'm not sure that has anything to do with cybersecurity.
Oh,
but
I'm sorry.
But I
got off
appreciate your
topic.
input.
Yeah.
I don't have that issue.
I second that.
Yeah, it's not fair.
I think that's a good one, John.
Yeah. Thank you.
I'll donate to you guys.
Please, I would wear
You
that
would
hair.
look so good with my hair.
Let's make it happen.
Okay, let's do this.
John brought up a good point in the first question, I think, that needs to be addressed also in this question about leaving things behind, and that's perimeter-based network security, right? So, you brought that up during the remote work segment. Perimeter-based network security is something that companies have relied on for years and years, and sort of creating this hard shell around the network that is inside of a physical location. And inside of that hard shell, there's a GUI center.
Yeah.
There's nothing in there that's really protecting the organization internally. And there's been a push towards zero trust architectures. Most people don't really know what that means when you say it, because it's not really a well-defined concept. But if you use it as the antithesis of what perimeter-based network architectures are, then by all means, go towards that. But you need to define what it means to your organization. How are you going to implement zero trust principles in a way that makes sense for your organization? And I think that's something that a lot of folks need to leave behind in 2023. The GUI centers need to go.
Gotta
Unless
get rid
if
of
it's
those GUI
candy.
centers. Oh yeah.
Yeah, nougat.
Yeah, the
Nougat's great.
good, but in terms of cybersecurity, absolutely no GUI centers.
No GUI centers.
So I think you're going to see a lot of more peer-to-peer IPsec tunnels or whatever encryption SSL but just don't leave your stuff non-protected.
Yeah.
It's
no containers, no GUI centers.
Yeah.
No antiquated practices, and take the second easiest road, not the easiest
and
road.
username, password,
and no more
certificates.
username, passwords,
Yeah.
and no more certificates. Certificates are so hard. They shouldn't be this hard. I guess so. What do you want people to know about going into 2023? What's the one thing you want them to know?
One thing I want them to know.
Yeah.
You looked at me when you said that.
I looked at you, just because I was processing.
All right.
It's a pretty deep question. Cybersecurity is a huge topic.
I know one thing I would.
I just want one golden
What's
thing.
the takeaway, John?
I mean, it's an easy one for me, but I'm a doom and gloom guy. It's legitimately only going to get worse. It's not going to get easier.
Things are getting more complicated.
They are, and they're getting better at doing the things. And like you said, you have these AI models that are getting good at coding.
That's true.
This is a small version of something that's just going to continue to grow. The models are going to get better. Therefore, it's going to get scarier. You need to do more security practices, or you're going to be breached, hacked. All these companies, you see all these vulnerabilities come out every single year, every single day, and they're worse. Like Log4j came out last year, and people were scrambling. It was tough. That's going to happen more and more.
Well, I think now that I'm sufficiently terrified,
Yeah.
thank you, John. Nick, is there anything we can optimistically take away?
No.
Yeah, I think playing off of that, I could say that those same things that are scary can also be used for good, right? So you talked about automation and AI and, the threats that they pose, and also the threat that they pose as a tool for bad actors. But the good thing is that we also have the same tools available to us
It's true.
on the good guys side.
Yeah.
So we can use things like artificial intelligence. We can use things like automation in order to make our lives better, make our lives easier in cybersecurity, and protect our organizations.
Yeah.
I think that makes me feel a lot better. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to go hide in my basement now. Thank you, Nick.
I'm still gonna go hide, but
In my basement or your basement?
Your
I didn't know
basement.
your basement was an option.
I think those are both good points, because there's no such thing as 100% secure in anything, right? So it's an evolving process that we have to go through, and we always have to make sure that we're checking the boxes. As we get more secure, there becomes more malicious actors or malicious content. But if we just keep working on making sure our security as best as possible, I think that's what we do in 2023.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as the good guys, right? We're always going to be a little bit behind the bad guys. If you look at it, we have the Super Bowl coming up. I don't know when this is actually going to air, but next weekend we have the Super Bowl, and the wide receivers always know where they're going to go,
Yeah.
right? They know the route. They're going to go out there, and as a defender, you're at a disadvantage, right? So you need
Yeah.
to be watching that person when they're running down the field. You need to be watching the quarterback's eyes to see, whether or not there's a threat of a pass in your lane, right?
Those quarterbacks are tricky.
Yeah, they are. and so, you really need to be aware of what's going on around you. And, that's the only way that you can really defend against those bad things, is to constantly be out there looking around, looking at the signs. And only then can we really, be close to equal footing at that point.
Yeah, I'm glad to have ML ops and AI ops on our side when it comes to that. Because I
Absolutely.
cannot watch all these systems all day long. Awesome. Well, I think that was awesome, guys.
It's a wrap.
I think that's a wrap. Thank you so much for tuning in. And if people still tune into things, and-
let's leave tuning into things behind as well.
Leave,
Oh my
leave
gosh.
that behind in 20.
Leave it behind,
Don't
yeah.
don't tune into
Don't
things.
tune in.
Would
Don't
say,
tune in.
Thanks for dropping by.
thanks for dropping
it's better.
by. Did they drop anywhere?
I don't know.
Well, we're EITR Technologies, and we really appreciate you making it to the end of the podcast. And we hope to hear from you soon.